everybody? Welcome to Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch, and today we're going to talk about this Saturday's ESPN Plus main event between Terence Crawford and Special K Kell Brook. This is going down in the welterweight division, and it is a good welterweight matchup between one guy who is one of the arguable pound-for-pound best fighters in the sport, and one of the arguable top welterweights versus someone who was in that point at one time in Kell Brook, who is trying to come back and stake himself as a player once again. We all know the story of his. He was the IBF titleist, won that from Sean Porter. Made a few good defenses, decided to step up 2 divisions against Gennady Golovkin, ended up breaking his orbital bone in that fight, did very well up until that point. However, then he comes back down to welterweight division, once again does a very good account of himself, but breaks his other orbital bone versus Errol Spence Jr. So we've got a guy who has 2 very serious eye injuries, but this was about 3 years ago. So now he's had time off. He's taken some fights, which we're going to go over a little bit more as we talk about this fight and give you a prediction of how we think this fight's going to go and who takes it. So I know you're going to like what you hear, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon, because also after the fight, either Rob or myself will give you the recap of what happened. So stay tuned for that also, because we're going to talk about what we talk about in this video versus what we actually see in the fight, and talk about what we got right, what we got wrong, and what transpired in the fight. So, giving a little bit of background on Kell Brook, Terence Crawford, 135-pound fighter, moved up to 140, became the undisputed champ there, now campaigning at 147, had undefeated, lots of intangibles, shown grit, shown determination, shown technical skill, shown dog, he's shown that he has the total package to be the man at welterweight. The only thing is he needs to fight those fighters to prove that he is the man. And Kell Brook is a good step in that direction. He hasn't really had the biggest fights in the division in order to get that recognition, but based off of what he's done previously and that skill that we see, he is in that top tier of the welterweight division. Now, like I said, before the setbacks of Kell Brook, he was in that conversation too. Now, since the Errol Spence fight back in May of 2017, I believe, or no, I think it was 2018 actually. He fought Golovkin in 2017. Either way, he's fought at 154 since then. He's had 3 fights, all at 154, and this is his first fight back down at 47. Now, one of the things that I'm going to talk about is Kell Brook's size, and he's a pretty big guy. He was able to look pretty decent at middleweight, had a little bit of pop at middleweight, so, and also he's somebody that I've seen in person up close, and he's a big guy. We're about the same height. I'm probably a little bit taller than him, but he is a big welterweight. And Terence Crawford is not a big welterweight. He's a pretty small welterweight, seeing as how he started at 135. Will that come into play this weekend? And 2 factors of that. One, can Kell Brook use that size to muscle and bully Terence Crawford early in the fight, or maybe late in the fight? And also, will that cutting back down to 147 after not doing so for several years, will that hurt Kell Brook and make him tire out later on in the fight? Those are some good questions. And So in order for him to have success in this fight, because both Rob and I agree that he doesn't have the faster hands, he doesn't have the reach advantage, even though he's a little bit taller. He's an inch taller than Bud Crawford and has 1 less inch of reach measurement wise. But what he can do is similar to what he did to Sean Porter and Errol Spence, is use that physical size to kind of push Crawford where he needs to be and where he wants him to be, especially early on in the fight. Kell Brook has excellent timing too, so he can use that jab to disrupt Crawford, use that strength to kind of muscle him around, get some good left hooks in to the body, especially if Crawford switches, because then that right liver area is a little more prominent for Brook, and pile up some points, maybe even score a knockdown. We've never seen Crawford down. We've seen him hurt. So against a big, physically strong welterweight with decent power, we could see Crawford go down for the first time in his career. Now, Crawford, on the other hand, pretty much has to be himself. Use his lateral movement, use his angles, use his superior speed. Confuse Kell Brook, maybe wear him down as the fight goes on, and try to not fight on the inside a lot. Like I said, both Rob and I feel that Brook is the bigger, more physically strong opponent, but Crawford also is no slouch in the strength department. We just think Brook is a little bit stronger. So stay away from that until late. Once you see Kell Brook start to fade, if that is a factor, then he can start to turn it up, go on the inside, and just do whatever he wants in the fight. But until then, he should use his lateral movement, use his longer reach, and use his faster hands to, outpoint Brook and try to wear him down until late in the fight, when then he can start to engage a little bit more. As far as a winner for this fight, I'm going with Crawford by decision. One of the things that he can't fall victim to is trying to outdo what Errol Spence did, which is stopping Brook in the 10th round. If he's able to do that, that's great. But his main objective is to win this fight without a lot of damage and to keep his win streak going, keep his belt. He has the WBO welterweight title, and he has to make sure that he does it in a dominant fashion, but not trying to outdo Spence and end up making it worse, where he ends up in a dogfight, ends up maybe getting dropped, or even being stopped. So he has to be smart with when he decides to turn it up, and I think he'll do so, but I don't think he'll stop Kell Brook. I think he's going to win a decision. And then we have to talk about what happens after the fight to see what he does next. Because like I said, the last thing is they have to fight the fight. Brook could come in there and steamroll him. It's not likely. No one really sees that as an outcome, but it could happen because we've got peak level athletes, elite combatants going in there, and anything can happen. We've seen some shocking things happen inside that ring, and you also want to give Kell Brook that respect and not, belittle him before the fight. And the same thing with Crawford, or after the fight for that matter. Here in this channel, we respect the fighters 100%, and you won't find us throwing out certain code names that you hear other people do. So that's all I got. Let us know what you think. Hit us up in the comment section below. Who wins? How? What strategies do you think is going to work? What tactics do you feel will lead them to victory? And, we'll wrap with you down in the comment section. Hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Capital Combat. And like I said earlier, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you can get the videos from both Rob and I and the ones we do together as we do those. So until the next video, fight on.
This is round one and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming and cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.